Councilwoman Hudson.
Here.
Councilwoman Schubert.
Here.
Councilman Yazdi.
Here. Okay. This meeting is called to pursuant of the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. Adequate notice of this meeting was advertised in the Herald News on January 9, 2023. Copies were provided to the local news media and posted continuously in the municipal building. A copy of this notice is available to the public and is on file with the Office of the Municipal Clerk. As per State Fire Code, I am required to acknowledge that there are 2 emergency exits in this council chambers. The main entrance which you enter through and a secondary exit to the left of where I am seated. If there is an emergency, walk orderly to the exits, exit through the door, down the stairs, and out the building. If there's any questions, please raise your hand. We do have one non-agenda item tonight, which is the approval of the Rose Fund. The committee has met twice and made their recommendations, so we'll be talking about that later. We were going to have a presentation tonight for Zachary Jowett. Is that how you pronounce that? Okay. He did the county poster contest and was one of the winners, so we will make arrangements to get it to Zachary through the school, which is nice.
Can you pass that over?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
March.
Is
March.
March, yeah. So if anybody wants to see that, and I think we're posting that in the Borough Hall, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Item number 7, public hearing, Passaic County Open Space Municipal Grant Application. This is for the second phase for Bow Pond Playground Rehabilitation. Can I have a motion to open a public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody wishing to speak, please come forward. Seeing no one, a motion to close public hearing.
So moved. Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Early public comment. Anybody wishing to speak? Can I have a motion to open up early public comment?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's get the hang of this. Good.
Linda Huntley, 86 Van Dam. There's going to be a new position, DPW Office Assistant.
You want to explain
Yeah,
that?
there's a possibility. We're just adding that position and the rec director position to the salary ordinance is not in there yet.
The rec director, we've always had one.
We had a rec director, not summer camp director. My apologies, summer camp director.
Okay, and the DPW Office Assistant, which is brand new,
It's a brand new position we're looking at possibly doing this year, yes.
to do what?
Take care of phone calls, take care of scheduling, help out in the water department with scheduling, all the meter changes and getting in for those lead line things we talked about last week, scheduling with all the homeowners, appointments, get into the houses as well. Right now, we are paying 2 assistant, that's an assistant supervisor and a foreman are doing a lot of that administrative work right now.
So are we going to reduce the amount of people that you have, those other people doing
We
work?
are going to talk about not hiring what we want to hire this year and replacing it with a headcount as an administrative assistant instead.
Okay.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Report of committees. Let's start with Evie.
The library, March 2nd is Dr. Seuss's birthday. That's going to be Thursday from 4, March 2nd, which is Thursday from 4 to 4:45. And, but you have to register ahead of time. And as always, the library has lots of afternoon book times, Tuesdays, they're mostly Tuesdays and Thursdays. March 8th, they have an adult book club, which is something that you also have to register for. Their meetings are usually Wednesdays. The designer handbag bingo is going to be March 31st. $40 is the registration for that. And they also have, bless you, they also have, March 6th, they also have art classes with Miss Liana Also, you'd have to register. And something that, kind of like with Hoopla, which is how people check out books virtually, there's also the PALS magazines online, which is something that is a great feature that you could, kind of get magazines online for free. The seniors, the 23rd, which is Thursday, is the Wills. The registration for the Wills from 10 a.m. to 3:30. It's all booked up. The Giuseppina Sardina, they were offering, Passaic County was offering free Wills for Bloomingdale seniors. So senior for them is anybody above 60 years old. So they were gonna, but the registration's all full for that. As always, there's lots of events that the seniors have going on with the Golden Age Club, starting with trips to the Italian Fest in Staten Island, Murder Mysteries, and that's all in at the Senior Center. The BBYC, they're having their turkey tray April 1st. $60. It's a turkey tray and a beefsteak, and it's April 1st. Sean said that they are filling up, and it usually sells out. So if anyone's interested, they should get a ticket. And online registration opens April 1st for flag football and mascot cheer. And of course, and August 1st starts football practice for the first graders through eighth graders. So lots of great stuff happening in town.
Okay, good. Anybody else?
I do. Public events. 2023, we moved the trout fishing contest. That is now on April 15th. So really our first event is Saturday, April 8th. That's the Easter egg hunt, 12 o'clock at Walter T. Bergen. The Saturday thereafter, the trout fishing contest, April 15th at 10 a.m. Bogue Pond. Little League opening day, April 22nd. And then I believe we also have recycling, and that is also April 15th, to the town recycling. I also did want to mention the Bloomingdale Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary is having fish and chips night at Tastefully British. That is going to be Tuesday, March 21st from 4 to 7:30. We also have the fire department is doing a comedy night Saturday, March 11th. Doors open at 6 p.m. You can find more information on their social media page. And I also just wanted to give a little shout out to the fire department. They have been very busy the last couple weeks with mutual aid calls and calls within our own borough. And so I just want to give a shout out to them because they've been working quite hard and doing a wonderful job. So thank you to them.
Okay.
Got 3 items to go through. First, Sloan Park Fest. The planning is in full swing, so there are going to be 2 events again this year, just like last year. First is June 9th, and it starts somewhere around 5 and it'll wrap up by 9 o'clock. Second one is September 8th, a similar time frame. We're booking out the bands for them. We have the Coots scheduled for September. They were a band we're bringing back from last year. Yep. But we need a little help for the one in June, so if anyone has any suggestions.
For music?
Yeah, right.
We're not going to go back to the,
So for the Bloomingdale Celebration Day, we're going to be using this Shamrock School of Music.
the one in Butler.
They were the ones we used. I believe that Linda Bennett had reached out to them and it worked for them, so they weren't able to do it. So we are looking around for other options. If anyone knows any, please pass them along my way.
Okay.
I also have for the EDC, Cones with Cops. It's going to be at Mia's Ice Cream. So this is going to be March 19th. We have Rudge Automotive. They're going to be sponsoring it. So they'll give out free ice cream and free Italian ice. Those are the two things for free. Obviously, you could buy whatever you like. That's there. It's going to be from 11 to 1 o'clock. I know we did this before with coffee, and it was a nice event. A lot of the police officers came, many of them on their time off. And it was really nice to see them there and to interact with folks from the community. So I encourage us all to try to go to that for a little while. And then last, and a fun event, Drug Alliance Unity Through Community. That is coming up on Thursday, March 30th. So we will be able to play in that dodgeball match. I've been practicing since last year, had a very poor performance in that. So I hope that many of you can make it as well. Right, and that's 6 p.m. at Walter T. Bergen.
Okay. Good. Anybody else?
I think something for rec. I went to the rec meeting last week. We are going to add 2 new program categories tonight to the fee schedule. One is STEM programs. The other one is team building events. And also at that night, we had a couple of residents came in and talked about concerns with the basketball program. Talked through those issues, and it looks like those 3 gentlemen may run the program next year, so more to come on that.
Okay, very good. That's good. Bree?
Nothing this evening.
Okay, and for me, just so you guys know, I met with the new county administrator today, Matt Jordan. We sat and talked about some items. He wanted to know about some of our concerns, if we had anything through our town on what we were doing. So we had a couple discussions. We talked about the future park at the Moscato Farm. They are doing their due diligence there and doing some testing, I guess, of the soil and all that stuff there. So that is moving forward. And if everything goes according to their schedule, that will be built, at least possibly be started by the end of the fall, beginning of next year, to get that off the ground. What he's going to do is have a committee from Bloomingdale, from us, and they'll come here and have any concerns from the residents of what we want it to look like. He's also going to offer it to Wanacue and Pompton, since we are the surrounding county towns around that new park that's coming. So I thought that was pretty good. So if we need a field, are they going to have walking paths, whatever, you know, they're going to come in with like 10 boards and what they think it should look like, and then we can put our hands on it and say, no, we don't want that, but we want this. So, but he's going to do a tour between us, Wanacue and Pompton. One will be up at the college, so we can go up there and can get everybody in one room and just explain what, you know, what they see it should be. So more to come on that. I talked to him about some concerns I have that the rumor bill, just call it that, of the warehouse in Wanacue. There is no right-hand turn going up Union Ave to Bloomingdale. That is not part of it. It's a right-hand turn only into their complex as of now. There will be plans for a light there, so whatever's coming out of that complex will go right to 287. But that's at their planning board level, so there's still more discussion on that. Nothing is fine. So, because I've heard through the grapevine that everything was going to come to our light and make a left and go to 287. Makes totally no sense to me. So I just told them if that was the case, you will probably see a lot of us have a meeting. So that's where we are with that. And we talked about some other things, just the program with the jail closing, which is definitely, it's in process of happening. None of the officers are losing their job. They're putting more officers on the road. Their plans are taking those officers and utilize them throughout the county. I'll just give you an example. If we get a prisoner here, why normally we would take that prisoner to Patterson or to the hospital, depending upon, they will be sending an officer here, so we don't have to spend overtime and sending an officer down there and losing an officer on the road. So now they're going to have people to do that throughout the county. And they're doing community policing. You'll see those little white sheriff's cars going around through towns. That's community policing. They're stopping in the schools, they're going to parks, they're talking to kids, they're talking to parents. So I think that is actually pretty good, because they've been in the school quite a bit. And then with our presence in the school, I think everybody will feel comfortable to get to know our community. So more to come on that when the jail is closed, because it will be completely closed. So, okay. That's pretty much all I have. Anybody got any questions for me? If not, let's move on. Item number 10, resolution number 2023 2.12, the consent agenda. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call.
Catalano?
Yes.
Delariva?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Schubert?
Yes.
Yazdi?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 11, second final reading and public hearing, ordinance number 5-2023, amended Chapter 2-80, fees for municipal service firearms. Public notice statement, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this ordinance was posted in the municipal building, published in the Herald News, and copies were made available to the public so that a motion may be made that it be read by title.
Okay, can I have a motion to read by title? All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 8, Policies and Procedures, Section 2-80, Fees Charged for Municipal Services of the Code of the Borough of Bloomingdale.
Okay. Can I have a motion to open up public hearing?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. A motion for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Delariva?
Yes.
Graziano?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Schubert?
Yes.
Yazdi?
Yes.
Catalano?
Yes.
Okay. Item B, second final reading, public hearing, ordinance number 6-2023, amended Chapter 3-1, abandoned vehicles. Public notice statement, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this ordinance was posted in the municipal building, published in the Herald News, and copies were made available to the public so that a motion may be made that it be read by title.
Can I have a motion to read by title?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale, County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 3, Police Regulations, Section 3-1, Abandoned Vehicles of the Code of the Borough of Bloomingdale.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak?
So I'd just like to try and understand,
You have-
understand the necessity to try and move the enforcement.
You have to wait, you're not the public. You have to wait till we go to adopt, they'll ask any questions, and you can do your thing.
You got it.
Okay? Okay. All in favor of closing public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion for adoption?
So moved. Wait a second here now.
Right.
Get the second.
I'll get to you. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any comments?
Public hearing or there would have worked, I believe. Would you like me to state my name out front first?
No, because that's public, then you have to go down there and do it.
I would like to openly discuss and understand the necessity for the expansion of regulation and not necessarily just the expansion of enforcement. I understand the necessity on public lands to move some of the responsibility to our local law enforcement, and I think that made total sense to me. What I didn't necessarily understand was our choice to expand regulation beyond what we already had for the definition of what abandoned vehicles were. That the scenario here was more of just encouragement for enforcement through expansion of regulation. And that's just something in my core beliefs I have a tough time with as government. I don't think we need to expand regulation. We need to focus on the enforcement. So I just would like to consider, as we review these ordinances and how we vote on them, that we look not only at how we're enforcing, but why we're actually going to change the regulation itself. So, I will be voting no because of the expansion of the regulation, while I wish that I could support the expansion of the enforcement. Both can't go hand in hand in this scenario.
Okay.
I do have a question on how this works for existing, well, I say it this way, right? So if you are a auto mechanic, right, you have cars that you fix up, it's your job. So they are technically non-operable cars. Do they now fall under this expanded scope, or no?
You want me to answer that, Mike?
I'm gonna say no.
No.
We talked, as an ordinance review committee, and we talked about the commercial side of this. Residential.
This is residential. We have several areas in town that we have abandoned vehicles, which we believe to be abandoned, on properties that are in front of homes, covered with tarps, and it's an eyesore. We don't have a mechanism in place to physically go out and do this. So we're expanding through the ordinance review, their recommendations, this is a recommendation from them, to handle such cases. When you see a car, now we're not talking a guy that's, has an antique, that's working on it, you're working on it, you can justify it. We have cars in town, and I don't know how much you drive around, but I've seen them, that have been covered in bushes. And it's just a blighted site through the town. So we want to have a mechanism in place that we can handle this. If you're an antique guy and you're working on your car and you got it running, that's great, that's pretty cool. But if people just park it and then get another car and they leave it there for forever, I can tell you I'm not gonna say where it is, but it's a bad site, it's a bad look for our town.
Yeah, and I would agree. I mean, I can think of a couple of locations in Union, on Leary, and some scenarios where there are vehicles that need to be addressed. It was just my opinion that the regulation that exists should have allowed us to address them, and for one reason or another, it seems like we have to change the regulation in order to address it, and I don't know that was the necessity. I don't know that we couldn't have encouraged this in a different way than expanding the regulation, right? I think that in doing so, what you're going to do is now allow people and give people the ability to create complaints for the scenarios that you may have described that don't necessarily support or exist. The same issue for tarp-covered or vehicles that are sinking into the soil, right? Unregistered or eyesores. It may be someone who may not have a covered garage, and while that existed prior, this is going to now kind of force the subject on what could be a registered vehicle that they're doing a brake job on. And not everyone has the opportunity now to deal with, on top of that, accelerating their timeline of their project for this ordinance.
Okay.
I think that was just an expansion when we just needed more enforcement.
I think that this gives it more bite for enforcement. Anybody else? Okay. Roll call, please.
Graziano?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Schubert?
Yes.
Yazdi?
Yes.
Catalano?
No.
Delariva?
Yes. Okay. Second and final reading of public hearing, ordinance number 7-2023, amend Chapter 10, solar installations. Public notice statement, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this ordinance was posted in the municipal building, published in the Herald News, and copies were made available to the public so that a motion may be made that it be read by title.
Have a motion to read by title.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale, County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 10, Alternative Energy, Section 10-4, installation requirements of the Code of the Borough of Bloomingdale.
Okay. Can I have a motion about public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anyone wishing to speak? Come on up.
I just have one question. As I was reading it, it said you can't, that I wouldn't be able to put solar panels in my backyard. I have to put them on my house. Why is that?
I don't think that,
We don't allow it in the fields. And I think it's actually, we're looking at, in an R10 zone, I believe you're in, it wasn't allowed in the zone, but maybe when it got bigger, we're talking about doing that. All this does here allows you to put it in the front of your house where it was prohibited before. And it was never allowed in the field, like you're talking about solar fields in the back of your house. They didn't allow that here in Borough.
But this, but I don't think before it was prohibited, but now I think it is. Why is that?
We did not change that. Whatever was in, the only thing we added to this was the fact that it was front-facing installation may be permitted now with the approval of zoning officer. We prohibited totally from the front-facing. And then people that had front-facing that was facing the north, or the south where it needed to be, they weren't able to put it on the back, but they weren't able to use it. So we as a collective group decided.
There's
to
one
put it
house
front-facing.
that's on your street.
There's one on Hillside Drive.
There's one on Hillside, there's one on Sunset, right, Sunset?
That was done prior to the original ordinance. That before Rich and I came on, that gentleman on Hillside Drive put his solar panels on front.
That's
Why,
a
but why wouldn't you allow it to be able to do it on your property?
And the reason behind that,
We didn't write that, that's been there.
Well, I'm asking, why can't that be added to it, that that's permitted?
I guess we can look at it, but right now, it's prohibited now. We didn't go that deep into it, and with the solar panels and the way the world is going, instead of fighting the people putting it on their front of their house, we know we'll lose that because today's, everybody wants to. Looked at that.
this is also, correct me if I'm wrong.
The part you're talking about.
This is also at the state level. They're possibly looking at changing at the federal level, changing the state, coming down eventually. It's,
The only issue here was addressing the fact that the building department could not issue a building permit for front-facing solar panels. So the only change that was made here was that the building department has the option to issue that building permit if the applicant provides reasonable and sufficient justification that this is the only way to effectively utilize solar panels on the home. I understand where you're coming from with it, but there was no attempt to look at the ordinance other than that aspect of it. It's a first cut, and this was the impetus to get this issue and problem resolved, if you will. And my sense is that the ordinance will be looked at again for whatever amendments may be appropriate. But the only issue here was giving the building department the ability to issue a permit and to get the borough out of a very tenuous situation, if you will, when the borough would have to deny a building permit. They would then have to appeal it. It would then have to go to the planning board. And from the state statute's perspective, there's no way that the planning board could deny the appeal. So that was the only impetus behind this amendment.
We kind of just made it easier for the residents to get their permit instead of going through that whole process.
This is a less expensive.
Yeah.
A less expensive alternative, if you will, from a resident perspective.
So would I need, if I was to put solar panels in my backyard, would I need a permit for that?
You would be denied that.
But would I need a permit?
Yes, you would.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully that will be considered in the future.
Yeah, I think it's important to note too, just from a solar installation standpoint, we're on Butler Electric and they're currently not buying back the power that
They
we're
don't buy
generating. So there needs to be a dedicated reason, in the sake of installing solar panels in large installments in open fields, you'd be doing so for generation in excess of capacity of use, and Butler Electric won't provide the resources. It would just be a terrible fiscal investment for our residents anyhow.
Butler Electric, even, I don't think they let you keep any excess, because I know when I put a new roof on, that was a question, I said, I'm not gonna save any money.
Nope,
because-
they won't buy back. So there's a catch-22 here.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Motion to close?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Hudson,
Yes.
Schubert,
Yes.
Yazdi,
Yes.
Catalano,
Yes.
Delariva,
Yes.
Graziano,
Yes.
Okay. New business, discussion of community development block grant for ADA ramps in borough intersections. Every year we apply for this grant, we get usually between, what, $65,000, $70,000?
60 to 80,000, yep.
Okay, so every year we have to find a reason that fits this grant. So we do have areas in town where ADA ramps are either cracked from paving, they're not at the right slopes. So we're gonna look through the borough, apply for this grant, and if we get this grant, which we believe we will, because this falls into the qualifications for it, to just redo some ADA ramps throughout the borough. We didn't pick out really generally one area yet, right? When Glenwell, we talked about Glenwell.
It's up by the Walt D. Bergen intersections up there on Oakwood, Memorial, Charles, Lakeside, Ann, Elm, Roy, Walter, Clark, and Winifred. So go put together the application if you all allow us to do that, and submit it with those intersections on there, and then if it's approved, we can come back and we can modify that to fit to whatever the budget is at that point.
Yeah. And we talked about, when we get these type grants, we always seem to have to add to it. Whatever we get is as many ramps as we're gonna do. All
So
right,
there's no like matching commitment on our?
No. No. There's just certain fees that if it's, that are not covered underneath, you need to spend the money on the project itself. So the planning stages cannot be included into this, if I'm explaining
Your
this.
Section 20 fees for your
Yeah.
engineer, we'd have to pay.
Yeah,
So if you get $60,000 and you have $100,000 worth of ADA ramps you want to do, you do $60,000 worth, and you're going to come up with another 20% of that to pay your engineer, his engineering fees for that. The grant doesn't allow you to pay in Section 20.
and we've done a lot with this grant. We did the Union Ave project. We're gonna do the, hopefully this year, the pavilion for the seniors. We're still waiting for that to go out for bid.
Main Street sidewalk, possibly.
Possibly Main Street, we're discussing that too, to come up with maybe a better way to spend our money down there. So, but that's, we apply for this every year in our engineering.
Changing of valves on Main Street, that's another one we got, the corner of Reeves Ave and Leary Ave there. That should be happening in the next couple of months. That's part of the CDBG grant as well.
But that's gotta be done this year, right?
That one
That one has
that's
to
the
be
last one that has to be
completed.
done first. Yeah.
Because you have to in order that you get them. So we'll be applying for this every year. All right?
And they may deny it because we have a lot of outstanding ones right now. Mayor, we have 3 outstanding ones, and sometimes they look unfavorable on that.
Well, I think we have to have a heart-to-heart conversation with our engineer to get these up and running. So, okay. So I'm going to pass these two, we're going to do these two resolutions at once? Okay. Okay, resolution number 2023 2.19, fair housing, and resolution number 2023 2.20, authorizing CDBG grant application. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Can you just, can we talk about?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
So as far as the application, is that for
That's to apply.
just to apply? And as far as zoned, where is it? We don't know, or do you know the applicant already?
No, we are the applicant.
This is for us.
Yes.
And the fair housing,
That's just part of the application process. You have to have both.
That's your Chapter 8.
Yeah. That's so there's no.
I'm going really quick through these important things. I'm just,
That's okay.
just slow
There's-
down for me.
You want to explain? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah, the fair housing part of that is your Chapter 8. It has to do with your,
no discrimination.
that's exactly right, no discrimination, ADA, stuff like that, they look favorable on senior stuff. That's why they gave us the one for pavilion. They look favorable on that as well. So that gets done every year with the application for the CDBG. Let them know that you are in compliance with Chapter 8. Typically, the CDBG is only in a certain area, in your town, and ours happens to be just Main Street. So with that fair housing and the ADA, that's why we're able to apply for the ADA ramps up at the Walty Bergen and that neighborhood. Most of the CDBG is in a low to moderate income housing area.
Okay?
And is there a certain amount that you're applying for?
The max we can get, and it's like
The 80.
60,000.
They set the parameters for that. We don't apply for like 200,000. It's pretty much set, the max is, I think, 65 to 70,000.
Yeah, it's usually,
Right.
the $720,000 the county does, and they split that up between the 12 counties, the 12 municipalities in the county. So we typically get about $60,000. Unless somebody doesn't apply, then they get a little bit more.
And then if the bids, if they go over, like, do we always stay under what they give us?
No, we usually get the max of $60,000 we typically get, but our project's usually more than that.
And we make up the
We have to
difference.
make up the difference. The taxpayers have to be able to go out and get money and pay the rest of that, whatever it is for that project.
Okay? You good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Roll call, please.
Schubert,
Yes.
Yazdi,
Yes.
Catalano,
Yes.
Delariva,
Yes.
Graziano,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Okay. Item B, adoption of resolution number 2023-2-21, payment of the bills. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay. Okay, any questions? No. Roll call, please.
Yazdi,
Yes.
Catalano,
Yes.
Delariva,
Yes, with the exception of PO number 23-08804.
Graziano,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Schubert? Yes.
Okay. Adoption of resolution number 2023-2-2.22, authorizing hire of assistant to the administrator. Do I have a motion, please?
So,
Second.
Any questions?
Just let you know that Bree and I did interview, we had about 16 applicants, 20 applicants, I'm sorry. And we interviewed, we narrowed that down via the paper resume process, and then we had some people come in and interview, and we both, at the end, we both decided on the same person. We came back and sat in the room together. And her name is Amy Greenspan. We're looking to offer her the position, and she's looking to start on the 20th of March.
Is she just us or shared with?
She's just us. Hired just for us upstairs with the retirement of our deputy clerk and maternity leave for our borough clerk, and then administrative assistant myself, and I also help out in the finance office as administrative assistant, so many responsibilities for this person.
Okay. Roll call, please.
I was saying, she's currently doing the position in another town, so she
Yeah,
comes with
that's
5 years experience.
why I was asking if she's still shared.
Well, no, she's still not shared.
Not a
It's
share.
just
She's
that
going to be a
she-
full-time employee here
She's
for
gonna be
Bloomingdale
for
Home.
us.
She has experience, yeah, in the role.
Yeah. Okay. Roll call.
Catalano,
Yes.
Delariva,
Yes?
Graziano,
Yes.
Hudson,
yes.
Schubert,
Yes.
Yazdi,
Yes.
Okay. Item D, adoption of resolution number 2023-2.23, authorizing stipend for Recreation Director Aaron Alvarez. Just a little history here. As you all know, our rec director resigned as of the 31st,
January
January 31st. So we have to replace that person to run a rec department. Erin works in our tax office. We asked her if she would be interested in doing this, and we thought she would be a great fit, and Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And the reason being here, she's here 5 days a week. So if anybody has any questions or wants to come up and sign for something, normally we were just 1 day a week open down at our rec center, and we were paying the same amount of money. So with closing the rec center down there, she will be here 5 days a week. So if anybody has a question, they can just come up to the window and say, you know, I want to sign up for basketball, I want to, whatever, any questions they have for our rec program. So being here 5 days and also being available 1 night a week still, right? She's still doing that. She will be here for that. So we're getting more time by our rec director than we were getting before. So we thought she'd be a perfect fit.
And running the programs.
And she's running the rec programs, yes.
Yeah, she's doing everything that Rachel did, who also had a full-time position, and did this part-time at night. She said, like the mayor said, she'll be here during the day, which we thought was a good fit. She has an office here, so we don't just supply an office, a computer, a phone, everything we had already for this person. They'll do all the rec calendar, field usage, anything has to do with any type of finance with the rec department, she'll be responsible for. She'll also implement and organize any of the programs that are going. She won't physically run the programs because we have instructors that do that. So I just want to make that clear. She organizes it, and then we hire staff and instructors to run the programs that said day. We're also looking to add some additional responsibility to her with our senior center, updating our calendar and our purchase orders and finance stuff that goes with the senior center, because our director there is having a little bit of difficulty with it, and we're hoping it helps us out with our audit at the end of the year, because we get a lot of issues and concerns with the senior department and the audit process.
Plus she's out on medical leave.
And currently she's out on medical leave, so she'll be able to help with this, and it's going to have a good time. And then she'll run our Easter program when it comes to public events, and then help out with the holiday event as well. Summer rec is not her responsibility to run. She'll organize it. We need to hire an instructor, so everybody knows an instructor. Rachel did that in her past, but that was a stipend position that was paid for out of the summer rec trust. So it was up and above her salary. Obviously, Erin can't do that because she's here 5 days a week, where Rachel was off during the summers because she was a school teacher. So again, we are looking for a summer director, camp director that is, and that's one of the positions we added into one of the next couple items we're going to do here. Answer everything? Good?
Okay. And if you know anybody that's interested, please give that person's phone number to Mike or have them contact Mike so we can get that program off the ground. Normally we're up and running by now for that. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Can I have a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, roll call.
Delariva,
Yes.
Graziano,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Hubert,
Yes.
Yazdi,
Yes.
Catalano.
Yes.
Okay. Item E, introduction of ordinance number 8-2023, salary ordinance, DPW office assistant and summer camp director. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
An ordinance establishing a minimum and maximum range of salary and compensation for categories and titles of officers, non-contractual employees, and contractual employees of the Borough of Bloomingdale. Second final reading, public hearing will be scheduled for March 7th.
All right. Item F, introduction to ordinance number 9-2023, amended chapter 2-64.11, recreation fees. Can I have a motion, please, to read by title?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance of the Borough of Bloomingdale, County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 2, Administration, Section 2-64 6.11, fees for recreation programs of the Code of the Borough of Bloomingdale. Second final reading, public hearing will be also on March 7th.
Do you have the Roseman resolution?
I do.
And this would be number
24.
24. Okay. Okay, resolution number 2023, 2.24.
This is the non-agenda item.
This is the non-agenda item. This is the approval of the Rose Fund. Like I said, the committee met, they gave their recommendations, they submitted their report, and now we have to act on it. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
I just wanted to thank the committee for their work, as always. Very appreciated.
Yes, it was actually a couple of interesting meetings, conversations. It was good. It was good. Roll call, please.
Graziano?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Schubert?
Yes.
Yazdi?
Yes.
Catalano?
Yes.
Delariva?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion to open up late public comment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We should just let you sit there.
I know, really, no. Linda Huntley, 86 Van Dam. What were the suggestions by the Rose Fund?
There's a whole list of them. Well, obviously, in the report, I don't have, you have it? I have it. There was a suggestion for adult, yeah, there's 4 pages of stuff. There's a suggestion for adult, and as you know, the Rose Fund is the normal stuff that the DPW does and all that stuff, so I won't go into that much up with that. But the new suggestions were, they want to do an add to the exercise equipment at the school. Couple of Little League wants an electrical outlet ran to their new shed so they can use their batting machine on the softball field, the little field. Just go through it. Yeah. We're extending we're getting pricing on that, on the backstop at the big field at the Leisure, because we're getting complaints from the people on Boston Street, the balls are going over the wall, and one, they told me, hit a child, and the other ones are hitting cars in their property. So what we want to do is bring the face of that out further, so when home plate is underneath, when the foul ball goes up, it hits the top of the cage versus going over. We're getting pricing on a new sprinkler system, because we've been having nothing but problems with that one. I think that's almost 35, 40 years old that's there. And the last time we had a break down there, if you remember, going back, but they kept, the pipe kept on deteriorating. Even though it's plastic, it kind of crumbled, because it's what they used years ago. Little League also wants new padding for the back of the backstops, because they're pretty much destroyed, they're old, so we're gonna purchase that stuff. They want, Little League wants a batting cage for the softball field. I don't know if we're gonna do that, these are all suggestions. And we have to see how the budget goes, because I believe the backstop's gonna cost quite a bit, the sprinkler system's gonna cost quite a bit, so we'll have to see, and everybody here will make that decision on where that money will be spent. And like I said, there's a whole list of, yeah, we got out of chess and checker table seats, but now that we put, and this is at Bogue Pond, they want to add a bocce ball court, which would be probably pretty cool. Horseshoe pits, I don't know if we want to do that, usually becomes kitty litter. They want to add, when we do the playground, they want to add a sprinkler in there so the kids can run under water over there. Like I said, this is just their wish list. Let's see, yeah, and then Bree will send it to you tomorrow. There's a whole bunch. We want to figure out how we can get the skating rink that we bought used. So, and actually, it's one of the things I mentioned to the county today. Maybe they can build us a skate park and we can put it there when they build that. So we're looking into that to get that.
So Bree will send it to me?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Cornhole.
It's online for now. It's on the website too now.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? Oop. Yeah, he's supposed to be asking the questions.
Craig Stratakis, 6 Sunrise Ave. So in terms of public safety, and specifically pedestrians crossing Main Street, are there any plans to make it safer with the recent fatality? Was it a
Well,
fatality?
anytime-
I don't know if it's as simple as a speed bump or it's. not
No,
even-
first of all, it's county roads, you'll never put a speed bump on there. That'll
Okay.
never, that, and just for, I'll say experience, fire department-wise, Glenwell Lake used to have speed bumps,
Right,
and they cause problems more than
okay.
because when you're going over it and people don't pay attention, they fly over them. All right, so that's a county road, so it's not gonna
So
happen.
that's not our jurisdiction.
No.
Oh, okay.
But when it comes to the traffic and safety at that, we have a traffic bureau. Obviously, they're aware of what happened, so they do make changes. We do have crosswalks in areas, some people don't. And there was a thing on Facebook the other day, down by the 7-Eleven, somebody in a dark jacket was walking right across the road, and the guy had his camera on in his truck, filming it.
Right.
So-
Darwin isn't, right? Darwin Award there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
so. I
But we
mean, you-
also have put, they did put the, which was, I believe, wasn't that like a silver award or something? They put the blinking,
The
the blinking
yeah.
things. And
The only thing, I don't know if we
doesn't seem
can, they don't seem to work. I mean, they work, they blink a lot, and I think people are just used to seeing them blink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's almost to a point where other towns I see, there's a button. So if you're
Yeah,
going to
there's
go
a
across,
button.
you push the button, it activates it, so it kind of makes you
Yes.
aware of that. So maybe that's something we can look into. I don't know if you can reconfigure them to do that, but we got them several years ago that we put them up. Like I said, there's one at Elizabeth Street, I think. There's one right here at Bob's, and there's one kind of close to down there.
Yeah, just relating a story, so I've stopped at that crosswalk, to let people cross by the Dollar General.
Mhm.
And so I'm stopped, and the other side stops, and then someone comes along the right side of me to try to pass me. And, they're all in a rush, whatever's happening, and they try and pass me. Then they finally see someone in the crosswalk, and they jam on their brakes, and it's
Mhm.
like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Our hearts go out to that family, I know that. That was a horrific sight that day, I was there, so it was terrible.
Evie, you posted, do you want us to say something about that?
Well,
Like where they're collecting money?
I went to the Mexican place in town. It's a little one, but it's called La Tex-Meca.
It's in Butler, right?
It's in Butler. It's next to the bikes across the street from the train tracks. And when I saw his picture, it's like everything kind of just felt tougher when I actually saw his picture, because like on Facebook it just said, somebody passed away. But when I saw his picture, and then the handwriting was like, it was in Spanish. It was like really poor Spanish and poorly written Spanish. And then I asked the owner, like, whatever, did you know him? And everybody was, oh, he's a great guy, and he worked at some thing. So I just kind of it just was upsetting that, and then the family, I don't know if they asked the police department. I said they'd have to talk to the police department about putting a memorial, which I'm sure that would probably be more of a distraction in our town to see something like that. So I said that's you'd have to talk to the police department, but it was very sad.
But they're collecting money.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's 4 little things collecting money, and Linda Bennett, she did a nice little collection, and she's dropping it off and with her organization, and it's just anonymous, and I just put it out there so people could just give the money because they need it.
It's a shame. Okay. Motion to close?
So,
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we do have one, we're going to go to executive. We do have one item, a matter of negotiation, but there will be no business conducted afterwards. Thank you all.
Do we have to do a motion to go to executive?
Yeah. I just let them walk out.